Welcome back to Winning the Game of Life. I'm your host Shawn Chhabra. Today I'm featuring a very special guest. Her name is Dima Ghawi. I don't know if I butchered her name. She's an immigrant from Middle East, exactly from Jordan. I watched one of her TEDx and I was so impressed I invited her to the show. So let us see, I think she's an expert on breaking the limitations in business and life. So let us welcome to the show, Dima.
Hi, Shawn. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, so how about you just take us back to your time frame, before your TEDx story, when you immigrated to America, and let us start from there.
Sounds great. I am a Middle Eastern in my genes and a global citizen in my spirit. I was born and raised in the Middle East, born in Turkey and raised in Jordan. And since I was a young girl, I was experiencing all kinds of the cultural limitations that are imposed on women, specifically in my family and my community. So my famous story that I talked about in my TEDx, I was in my grandmother's home. And my grandmother is very special to me. So she raised me and she taught me all kinds of lessons. Many of them are positive, other than this one. And this lesson was, we were playing in her kitchen and we were arranging flowers together. That's something we always love to do, especially jasmine. That was our favorite. And at a moment she got silent and she held the vase that we were playing with. And she said, "Do you see this glass vase? A girl is just like this clear glass. It needs to be perfect, no cracks in it. Any crack means that you cannot fix it, you cannot glue it. That's the vase that we usually throw away." So think about if you have a glass vase or a cup and it gets cracked, usually you throw it. So she linked the reputation of a Middle Eastern girl to the perfect glass. And her lesson mainly is that the girl needs to be perfect. She needs to do everything that is expected of her family and culture. Otherwise, she would not be wanted and she would be thrown away. So that was very shocking because I was just 5 years old. And at that time, I was obviously had no clue. So I was confused with the seriousness of my grandmother, wasn't sure if she's playing, joking. But then I realized as I was growing up, all the limitations that women in my family were experiencing. I saw horrific things of how they were treated, how they were shut down. And the same thing applied to me. So I learned early on to not voice my opinion, not to do anything, but to really follow what was expected of me. And I did everything. I was the perfect daughter. I did everything as what was expected. And I completed my high school in Jordan, and then a year after my high school, I was engaged through a family introduction, and this was a huge honor for me to get engaged so early, which means my vase is perfect. So then I got married when I was 20 and moved with my husband at that time to San Diego, and I thought initially that with the move, I would be able to become more aware of who I am and be given the permission to discover my identity away from the far away culture and the family expectations that I faced. But then I realized that was not the case. I was expected to stay in my vase, expected to keep it perfect, and to just follow and obey, have no opinion, have no aspirations or dreams other than just to be the perfect wife and then be the perfect mother. And initially I was okay because I really had no clue. But then as I was starting to just observe the American culture, just really look at the American culture, and to me they seemed very open. They seemed, they were expressing their opinions. The relationships were more of a partnerships. They had a vision of they wanted to do in their life compared to in my case where I was just told what I was supposed to say and what I was supposed to do. And there was a major internal clash that happened to me because I started questioning my upbringing. I started questioning my new culture that I was in a way living in, but I was not part of. So I was living in the US, but in reality, I was still living in my small community in Amman, Jordan. And there was a lot of self questioning of what is my identity? How do I fit in this new world? And I just didn't know. And of course, the more I was exposed to like TV and watching people at the grocery store, or watching people as I was going to like any events, I just felt I didn't fit. I didn't fit in my culture, and I didn't fit in this new community of being an American, at least in paper. So that's really caused me to start going into a depression, and I didn't know what to do with myself. My family, my husband at that time did not understand any of this, and there was a lot of resistance happening. So I remember the worst day of my life. I just woke up and I was just staring at the wall. I didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't know what to do with my life. I was just 25, and I really felt that my life was over. There's nothing to live for, because there was no dreams of my own. There was no aspirations of my own. And I just couldn't continue to be the puppet that I was raised to be. And that was the lowest point of my life. I remember just like sitting at the ground and at the carpet and just crying and crying. And somehow I wasn't able to get in touch with anybody at that moment to ask for help. I couldn't get in touch with my mom to speak to her in Jordan, couldn't get in touch with my husband. I couldn't get in touch with anyone. And I think there was a divine purpose to make me stop and think about who I am, what do I want to do outside of the external influences. And I discovered at that moment that I really have a choice. I have a choice to continue to follow what I was told, or I have a choice to discover my own identity and give myself permission to shatter this vase and to move away from the vase. And that's what I did. I got away from a very unhealthy relationship, got away from a lot of negative things that was imposed on me, and I moved on with my life. I left. And that was the turning point. That's when things started opening up. I completed my master's in business. I got into all kinds of organizations. One of my professors changed my life. His name is Dr. Starling, and he's the one who convinced me to run for a president for the student organization. So here I am, a young woman still, thinking I am not a leader. I don't have any leadership skills. I am just a follower. I just do what people tell me what to do. And for the first time, I found myself leading an organization. So that was a major boost in my confidence. And as a result, I got hired by IBM into global leadership roles, started traveling around the world, had the most amazing teams and managers that believed in me and kept progressing me into higher leadership roles. So here's the little girl in her grandmother's kitchen in Amman being told to just stay quiet and not to do anything that would upset her family, and then turning into a global leader with so many people around the world that I had to influence and lead and make decisions, which was very difficult. Like, how can you make a decision if you're always afraid of making mistakes? So that is really where I come from, and that was the main story behind my TEDx.
Oh my God! Like, when I was just listening to you, I was just trying to imagine a puppet on one side and some circus, like where I see the elephant feet is tied with a little rope, and all their life, their belief system is like, even when elephant is grown up, the elephant cannot break that little rope, and you were able to break the rope. So how, I want to get in your head, like how you were really able to make those kind of decision and break the rope.
It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I just woke up one day and decided to break the rope or shatter my vase. It took a few years for me to get to this point, and it was absolutely scary, and I had a lot of self-doubt. So I was doubting if I was making the right decision, wondering if I'm making a mistake and one day I'm going to regret it. And of course, I was always reminded that there's going to be a lot of bad consequences if I decide to shatter these limitations and get out of this bad relationship, to a point, like I got a lot of death threats. Until today, I have death threats because of this, just because of voicing my opinion and just believing in myself. So back to your question, it's not just immediately where you decide you need to move on. I think in many cases in life, we get to a point where you just cannot take it anymore. So it does get to be black or white. You stay and you make everybody happy and you satisfy everyone. You stay empty, absolutely depressed, but your purpose in life is just to make people happy. Or you believe in yourself, you give yourself a chance, you move on, you become so fulfilled and empowered and fill yourself with joy, where automatically you're filling everyone around you with joy because you just become radiating. So there's a lot of decisions and choices, and there's the positives and negatives for both, and it's really our choice.
On top of that, like you didn't have any fear of failure or something when you just quit this corporate job with IBM?
I didn't have a fear of failure when I accepted the job with IBM.
No, when you quit the job and moved forward.
So
beyond breaking the vases, now you're breaking all the shells.
Yes. So part of the story is after I joined IBM, I worked with them around the world, got into the most amazing leadership development programs and managed global teams, which was amazing. But then 11 years later, I decided to shatter another vase. And this vase is to not be an employee anymore, but follow my passion and purpose of talking about shattering limitations and influencing people around the world. And there was no way for me to be able to do it in addition to my job with IBM. So last July, I resigned and I started my own consulting company focused on working specifically with women to help them advance in leadership by shattering their limitations, shattering the internal voice that's telling them that they're not good enough, they're not smart enough, that they cannot compete in a male-dominated environment, mainly bringing my story of shattering limitations, bringing all the leadership experience that I got with IBM, mixing it all together and really creating a wonderful, relatable package for women to be able to work with and helping them believe in themselves so we can all grow together. And a lot of my work is with men as well, because we need to empower men so we can empower women. We need to all grow and evolve together as humanity.
Yeah, that's what I was going to interrupt you right in the middle, but I did not. Like, I think you need to help men to break more vases than women in order to empower women. Like, men have to be more open-minded and change their belief system more than women have to change.
I wouldn't say more. I think it is both. We're going through a major evolution in our humanity, a new evolution. We continue to evolve, and this one, it is for us to respect each other, regardless of gender, regardless of color, regardless of background, where we're all equal and we are here on earth to grow, to learn, and to help each other.
Actually, if men can change their belief system, women don't have to break the vases anymore. They don't have to become rebellions, you know.
Well, it's so much fun breaking vases, so why would we let them not break their vase? Let everyone shatter their vase. It's pretty good.
Okay, that's good. Let us get into something else. Like, before the interview, I was talking to you, and you was talking about some evil vases and vases rules and 5 rules or something. What is that about?
Okay, so part of what I talk about is the 3 evil vases. So these are the vases that stop us from pursuing our passion and moving on with our life. So the 3 vases are the fear of failure, and you mentioned about my fear of failure when I left IBM. The second one is the worry of being judged. And the third one is the aspiration for perfection. So in many cases, we don't take risk It's difficult for us to change the norm because we're comfortable first with it, but also because there's these three evil vases in our head that are telling us, well, if you take a risk, if you shatter limitations, there's a chance of you failing. And if you fail, then the community or your coworkers are going to judge you. And if you're being judged, you're proving to everybody that you're not perfect. So then you're going to feel ashamed and guilty, and it's just not going to help anybody. So it's like this horrible cycle, and they're so related and they just feed on each other. So a lot of my work is to help people shatter the concept of the fear of failure. There's lessons out of failure. We need to cherish the fact of failure. And really, there's nothing called failure. There's always lesson. There's always growth opportunities that we need to realize. So these are my three evil vases that I always talk about. And when you think about it, when we shatter these three evil vases, life becomes easier. Because in many cases, we don't want to do something. We're afraid of the consequences. We're afraid of what people think of us. And we're afraid of showing that we're not perfect. Everyone wants to be perfect. Everyone wants the perfect Christmas. They want the perfect house. They want the perfect children. But there's no perfect. So we need to get comfortable with that and realize that it's okay to live life without being perfect and just shatter that really bad vase.
So is this kind of like a part of your book or something, or what's going on?
There's many books going on in my head. This is a lot of my training. So right now I'm giving workshops around the world, and this is a big part of, I work with people in groups, big groups. I just had a group last week for 100. A few months ago, I gave a speech to 5,000 people, or it could be just like 5 or 10 people. So it's really a lot of my work to help individuals realize these things and to help them realize that the vase is not about me. The vase is about them. Each one of us, we're born with a vase. Some of them are smaller than others, and they come with different sizes and shapes and colors, but we're all living with them. And I believe we're born with these vases for a reason. We think of the vases, the limitations, as negative. Like I have all of these negative things. But we don't realize that they are a blessing from God. They are our purpose. Our purpose in life is to shatter this vase, to believe in ourselves, to make a difference, not just for us, for everyone around us and for the next generation. When we start seeing it as a blessing, it's not a bad thing anymore. So right now, when I think of my vase, it was the most blessing thing in my life. Because of my vase, I'm talking to you right now. Because of my vase, I'm able to feel good about who I am and influence so many people around the world. So this is what we need to think about. It's not a bad thing. It's our lesson that we were sent to this world with, to learn, to shatter, to believe in ourselves, and to evolve.
What a positive way to look at like a opportunity even in those limitations.
Yes, well, shattering even the negativity of the vase, yeah.
A lot of our listeners and viewers are like a entrepreneur. Maybe about 1/3 of those are like immigrants, 1/3 are like women entrepreneurs. But some of those may be having hard time making decisions to even start the business or quit the job, or if they're in business, moving to the next level. So how in this real time, how can you really coach them for a few minutes, like how they can really come over all those, their belief system and change it? Is that possible even in this interview, something like that? Can you help us?
So the first thing that I would say is business is not about making money only. I want to make money, but the business is about making a difference. So the first thing is look at the product or the services that you're offering. Is it making a difference in the world? Question yourself, because the more we are making a positive difference, it's not going to be about us only. We'll start getting all kinds of divine guidance to help us with this purpose. So this is the first thing, is look into what you're offering. Do you want to do your business just because you want the six-figure number, or do you want to make it because you want the six-figure number plus make a big difference in other people's lives? The second thing is look for people to help you. Create an advisory board. And this is what I talk about all the time, which is find people that you trust, individuals that have skills that you need as you're creating your business, and put them on your advisory board. That you don't need to pay them initially, but they are the ones that you trust, and they can help you see things in a different way. So right now I am working on all kinds of creative things with the website and the branding and the design of the logo, and I cannot do it all on my own, even if I hire somebody. So I have all kinds of people that I trust, and I go to and ask questions and ask for help. And the great thing about this advisory board, even when I start limiting myself and stop believing in myself, they believe in me. So as a result, they are continuing to push me forward. The third thing I would say is every transition, whether it is starting a business, growing your business, or even being an employee and wanting a promotion, it always comes with a vase. So identify not just your goal, identify what is the vase that is stopping you, whether it is internal or external, and plan for that. In many cases, we plan depending on our dream. We have the timeline, the project management, but we don't think early of what to anticipate that may stop us, and plan for it ahead of time. So when it happens, it's not going to stop you.
Okay, I want to switch the gears, and I want to ask a question I forgot to ask you earlier. That is about, like, I'm an immigrant and you are an immigrant, and we are almost from the same part of the world. So I'm a parent of 4 grown-up children, and there may be some parents listening and watching these videos and this podcast, like some in Middle East, some in India, and some in America. So what do you advise to immigrant parents, or the parents in Asian countries, how they should really raise their kids so that they don't have to go through the frustration and struggle you went through?
Yeah, it is. That's such a good question, and especially now when I look at different communities, a lot of the communities, like Middle Eastern community, they move to the US and they stay very close with each other. I've seen the Chinese, the Indian community, and they try to just party together and marry from each other. And in many cases, they're not exposed as much to the overall beautiful melting pot that we're living in. So my advice to them is bring the amazing culture and the traditions that you are raised with. So for example, the Indian traditions are beautiful. The Middle Eastern traditions are absolutely beautiful. So bring those, but work into the vases. So any limitations and expectations that we have about the children or our community, try not to impose those into the new generation, and try to make them open them up to the world that they're living in. The world is evolving constantly. So what we lived in as children is going to be different than the world that our children are going to live in. So maintain the traditions, don't shatter them, like the beautiful music and the events and the food and all of this that's so unique, and we need to nurture it. But anything that is expectation that we're imposing on them, realize even if you do, you're hurting them versus you're helping them to be part of this melting pot and to be successful and happy.
So parents should break their vases first.
Yeah, because what happens is, many cases, if the parents don't break their vases, they're giving it as part of the inheritance to their children. It just keeps going from one generation to another, and that is very destructive. And I've seen it in my situation, where certain vases that my grandmother lived with, my mother lived with, was passed to me, and I had to live with it. But if they shattered it long time ago, it would not even be part of my story.
So most of your coaching and teaching is to, like, a big corporations, all the corporate environment, or you also help to smaller groups?
Both. So a lot of the corporate work, I give keynotes at conferences, and I work with individuals one-on-one. So one-on-one coaching and helping them with specific needs that they have. And you'll realize when we talk about business, it is not just the theory of business. It is how to look into the fear, the worry, the issues with perfection in business. And this is a lot of what I bring. So for example, presentation skills. Everyone is terrified from giving presentation. So I can teach a presentation skill all day long, and my students would still have issues. But if I spend the time talking about the fear of standing and presenting, and why is it? Because we're afraid of being judged. We're afraid of making mistakes. We're afraid of not being seen as perfect. It is the same three evil vases that really apply not just in our personal life, but in our business. So I focus a lot about these things, and I bring the global element because a lot of individuals, they are focused on, they think it's just their community. So if you're living in India, you think the world is India. If I'm living, which I am, in Louisiana, many people think the world is Louisiana, but it's not. We need to think about the global picture and think about how we fit in this world and start seeing ourselves as global citizens. So this is a big part of the foundation of what I teach.
So do you have any online classes, or do you do any webinars or something, or how people can really use? You said global, so everybody cannot literally reach you in Louisiana or even in America. So do you have anything online so that they can really be one-on-one with you and have some coaching or teaching or get inspired at least?
So I coach individuals globally, and that's why Skype and the internet is absolutely amazing. So I do a lot of one-on-one coaching through Skype. And also, I am working on creating programs. I was just recording a program yesterday, and it is about shattering limitations in leadership. And again, many people, they would not even think of the concept of the vase in leadership. And that's a big part of what I'm bringing. So it's coming up. And my website should be live hopefully in the next month. And the product that I recorded yesterday, and I'm going to continue to record, would be available. But if anyone wants one-on-one work with me, I do offer coaching.
So how they can really reach you? What is the website, or how they should contact you?
So the website is dimaghawi.com, and that's spelled D like David, IMAGHAWI.com. And I'm sure you're going to include that. And I'll send you a link to my email and my TEDx, so you would be able to provide it to the audience. And honestly, the more we offer the messages and we help ourselves realize our potential, open ourselves to the transformation, we're going to be so much happier, and we'll be able to connect with our purpose and make our dreams come true.
Unfortunately, we are very close to end of the show. So do you have any last minute advice for all the listeners and viewers who are still hiding under the table?
So the ones that are hiding under the table, don't hide. I'll tell them one thing that I always think about. The graveyard is the most land that is filled with dreams and aspirations. Think of yourself today as if it is your 100-year birthday. And what do you want to tell yourself? Do you want to say, I lived a fulfilled life. I am happy with what I have achieved, the risks I took, the failures I've experienced with my life? Or do you want to look back and say, I wish I've done it differently. I wish I left an unhealthy relationship. I wish I took the chances and started my business. I wish I believed in myself and was able to open myself to promotions and accept these promotions. I wish. So we don't want to be wishing when we're 100 years. That's when we'll be like, thank you, God, for this life. I have achieved a lot. I've helped a lot. And I'm now open to, who knows, whether next life or going to heaven. So think about this. When you're 100 years old, and also think about the difference you're going to make in people's lives, because our life is not just about us. When we are shattering our limitations, that's going to have a positive impact on everyone around us. It's going to change the next generation. And so that's the advice. Do what you believe in, listen to your intuition, take risks, and always be open to helping others and making a difference in their lives as well.
Very inspiring. Thank you very much. And I'll put all the links. And when your next book or next program is coming, I would like to invite you again to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for spending the time with us today. Have a
My
nice
pleasure.
day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
LaptopUniverse.com CEO Indu Chhabra announced the launch of BuybackQueen.com. This newly launched reverse e-commerce website buys back used old electronics, old iPhones, iPads, and all other smart devices directly from the consumers. You should not throw your old phone away because your trash may be hitting gold. Buyback Queen wants your old device and will pay top dollars for it. The process is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Fast payment, free shipping, free data wipe, risk-free transaction. Let us make the world a cleaner place and make money by selling our device on BuybackQueen.com.